4 a.m. where I'm at, and I'm about to get started. I'm going to do some shoulder back exercises that I've got from my physio. I'm going to do some basic mobility, not the full cycle like I did yesterday, but some of the exercises and some basic kettlebell drills with lighter weights, just to go through the techniques and check in with myself how I'm doing, progressing and preparing for the program that I'm building for the next 4 weeks. So that's what I'm going to be up to this morning. What about you? What are you up to? What are you doing? You just got home, getting ready for bed. It's evening. Maybe you just finished your workout, or like me, starting off your day and headed out the door, have to go to school, to work, holiday job, or anything else that you need to be doing. Let me know in the comments. I'd be curious to hear from you. It's going to be the second day of my course and training to a functional movement trainer and a health coach, which is super interesting. Yesterday was very interesting. I have some more studying to do this morning before this afternoon session, but the studying is more than worth it because it's just a topic I think, first of all, I find interesting, and therefore I want to learn more about it. And the way the syllabus and the content is put together in an interesting way. Plus the live class is super fun. There's like 6 of us, so it's a small group and a very passionate teacher. I think that's probably the best scenario you can wish for with something like this. Beyond that, I'm feeling all right. Probably could have slept a bit more, but had quite a bit of studying to do. And after putting the kids to bed, instead of usually going to, like I usually do, going to bed with them, I had to do a couple of hours of reading and summarizing. So we'll pick that up this morning again and try to get to bed early tonight. Like I always say, we're good just the way we are. We have got to love ourselves before we can move on. I am training to live an active and healthy life for a long period of time. Hopefully another 60 years. Who knows, I might be self-sufficient by the time I'm 100. And the only way to get anything done is by showing up and doing the work. So, yeah, let's get started, shall we? Hey there, good morning. If you've left a message for me, I'll be right over to check it and have a little chat. I appreciate you dropping by. Of course, I have to grab my glasses, otherwise I can't see anything. this morning. Joshua, good morning. What's up? Not much. What's up with you? Just doing my morning routine morning workout, which is some stretching, some mobility, and then something with a kettlebell. What's up with you? Where are you at? It's 5:48 a.m. where I'm at. Is it morning or is it evening? Where you're at, what you're doing? Usually tells me someone is in Europe or in the States, depending on the time of the day it is where they're at, or Canada. Had one person drop in from Brazil once. Let's see. Remind the world. 11:48 at night in Canada. I'm in Holland, so it's 5:48 here in Europe. Ever been? Canada's amazing. I think I visited Montreal once when I was a student studying in Boston. That was pretty cool. This is a new exercise I learned in my course, by the way. It's called the Sphinx or something. And you try to lock in your body and then breathe. But because you're pressing your hands into your legs and down, you're locking your shoulders. So it means you can't move your shoulders. But by inhaling deeply, and exhaling in different ways, you create a lot of space in your body, but also some pressure on your spine in a good way. So it was pretty neat. Another one that I learned was tucking my neck in, like this. And apparently that straightens out the upper part of my spine for my normal posture. Neck forward, backwards, and nod yes once. And all of these exercises you can actually do at your desk at work. Third one is creating a W with your hands and just moving like this. And you'll feel that if you do it properly all along your back, which helps for people like me apparently who sit behind the desk for their work, or have been sitting at a table studying a syllabus for a course. And finally, because for the fifth one I need a chair, finally there's a third exercise which you can do, which our coach called picking apples, to help stretch out and create some space in your spine. And you've probably seen people do this. I remember seeing this one in my mom's aerobics videos when I was a kid, and I always thought this was not really an exercise. But as I've grown wiser, I say older, as I've grown wiser, I've come to appreciate there are more and more things that you need to keep doing in life to stay mobile and have that range of motion, because as we grow older, if we don't use a range of motion, which is something else I learned in this course, then you're going to stop being able to reach certain positions, and that can be a limiting factor in life in general. So worth to be on the lookout for. So yeah, those were a couple of other things that I learned, and probably like to add more. I'll show you one more exercise that I learned in a moment. deep squat. Sit there for a little bit and chill and relax. Talk about life. So, anyway, working out and understanding the reasons why, and then having specific behaviors that will help lead to that why. One of the things that I learned yesterday, which I knew because I work in sales and been around people for 25 years, 25 years in a professional or semi-professional setting. So everyone's different, everyone has different principles, drivers and motivations. So it's just worth noting and important to realize that the reasons that I am doing all of this and doing all these workouts might not be the reasons why you are here and interested in kettlebells or mobility or anything else. And that's completely fine. As long as you're happy with the way I'm explaining things sometimes and talking about them, if we have some sort of a connection and understanding about my motivation drivers, maybe you can adapt those to your life and your goals, and from there you can really figure out how to work these things into your life and your programming. Let's see. Hey Johnny, good morning. How heavy is the pinkish kettlebell? That's a great question. The pink one is 8 kilograms. I think that will be 14, 16 pounds. The blue one is 12, the yellow one is 16 kilograms, and the purple one is 20 kilograms, heaviest I have at the moment. And the clubbell, the black clubbell, is 2 kilograms. It's the lightest weight I have in the house. For anyone who's interested in starting, are you interested in starting off with kettlebells and kettlebell weights, Johnny? Let me know. It's good to see you again. Thanks for dropping by. Right, we'd like to do some core work. Yes. Shouldn't be skipping that. I'm going to be doing a half get up as well. But first, some drills. And of course, one of the challenges of holding that brace is being able to speak and breathe. As we're holding the brace. Because that is one of the best uses of bracing this way. Just bracing behind, breathing behind the shield. Forcing myself to keep that neutral spine. The reason I was asking about the weight, by the way, Johnny, is because picking the starting weight for kettlebell is an interesting challenge. Picking the kettlebell that's right for you. But I can tell you how I started in a moment. So I started off light. So I started doing everything with an 8 kilo kettlebell. Mostly because the holiday resort we were in December in Portugal didn't have a heavier weight. They had I think it was a 4 and an 8, or a 6 and an 8. And that was it in terms of kettlebells. Tiny ones also. But having now progressed to slightly heavier kettlebells, I can tell you that it was quite the gift to me that they gave me light kettlebells, because I learned how to do the technique properly. Kristen, I'm doing good. How are you doing? It's good to have you back. Thanks for dropping by again. Hope you're doing all right. You've been using dumbbells. I'm going to try a kettlebell. Yes, I need more than one. No, you don't. You don't need more than one kettlebell. One kettlebell is more than enough. And specifically, I think it kind of depends on how comfortable you are with a bit of a grind, right? So with a light kettlebell, you need to do more volume, more sets, to get that intensity up. With a heavier kettlebell, obviously you can get away with doing less, spending less time. Usually that's what it comes down to. However, with a heavy kettlebell, pressing overhead, remember when I had my neck hernia? Maybe you don't. One of the reasons why that developed is because I was using poor technique with too heavy of a kettlebell for my body weight at the time. So different exercises, in my experience, require, talking as someone who's interested in kettlebelling to someone else here, require different weights until you can build up the strength and conditioning and technique to do them properly. So if you do everything with a light weight, you pretty quickly get a feel like, okay, the deadlift, I'm used to working out, had proper training in the hip hinge and the deadlift, I can do that. But the swing and the clean, okay, those need a bit of work, so I'm going to grab a lighter weight. And then the overhead press, well, I can do it, but I can't do that with a 20 kilo kettlebell, or I can only do it once, which defeats purpose, so I need a lighter weight to do it. But if you start off with like a 6 or an 8 kilo kettlebell, and you get into the mindset of mastering the techniques slowly over time, start with the swing, two-handed swing, start with the deadlift, start with maybe a press, start with a bent over row, so you have a push, pull, hinge. Then you get a feel for what you're capable of and what you need to learn. And then I suggest you check out a guy called Mark Wildman, who's my go-to resource for all kinds of kettlebell techniques. He really has a good Kettlebell 101 program on his channel, and walks you through all the basics. And once I'm done with my course here, I'm probably going to buy one of his or two of his programs, one for club bells and one for kettlebells, to learn more virtually on top of following in-person courses. So yeah, start light would be my take on it, and then when you understand the techniques, see where you can properly add weight in a proper program with proper periodization, if that helps. I hope that's a somewhat interesting answer for you, Johnny. And Kristen, it's good to see you back again. Thanks for dropping by again. I appreciate that. Speaking of core, one of the one of the exercises that I learned yesterday as well, or relearned, I have to say, was this one. And this is a familiar one, I think, for all of you. For you. Sitting in kind of like the bear position, and then lift the brace, lift your foot, lift your foot. Now, lift the hand, lift the hand. As you can see, I still move quite a bit when I do that. But boy, is that fun. And then of course the all-time favorite variation of this one, dragging the weight across. And I'll show you one more fun exercise that we learned. And that's a variation apparently of a plank, and also good preparation for a push-up. But I guess already after one day, one of the main takeaways for me at least is, you know, one of the main takeaways for me is that there's a lot of information on the internet, which is good, but there's also a lot of nuance that you miss when you watch a short or videos by one particular creator. So first of all, I guess, watch a lot of different videos from a lot of different creators, because the truth is somewhere in the middle for a specific exercise or problem. Second of all, if you have the opportunity, go and read up, library, find the college textbooks that are used in physiology, physiotherapy, personal training courses, health coach courses, because there's so much more to explore about the topic than what you can get into a video that is actually interesting. Challenging my core with one hand swings, 5 on each side. Probably should change the timer on that, but we're working on time, so it's all good. Johnny, let me know if that answer was in any way useful or helpful for you at midnight in Canada. I believe someone else just told me. Okay, let's take a look at another basic. See how we're moving through the deadlift. No problems there, for me at least. two-handed clean, starting in this position. That works. Of course, the deadlift is the basis for a lot of things in kettlebelling, so just keep that in mind. And it is a very different movement from the squat, right? Because the range of motion is different. Watch what happens to my knees when I'm doing the squat. Squat or leg exercises, also always the ones that get my heart pumping. Now let's take a look at the overhead press, but a two-handed one. Still need to activate the glutes, quads, pull up the kneecaps, brace, activate my back, and press up, down. Driving my body into the bench. There we go. Now, grabbing a lighter one because we're going to do some cleans and some presses. Specifically for the press, I don't want to overwork my shoulders, but let's start with a clean. That drops down, catch with the legs. I don't know if you can remember from January, maybe not, but if you look at my old videos, then there are a lot of different drills that go into mastering and improving the clean. But that was already quite satisfying. Let me see if anyone asked. Any other questions? 6:20 a.m. Johnny Hubbars, amazing, very good. Pearson, I'm doing great, by the way. Thanks for asking. See, I didn't answer your question. Now let's look at the clean to overhead press. We're also going to do a two-handed row. Let's look at a pull, which is the bend over row, two-handed, and then a gorilla row, but the idea is the same. So parallel, feet around to the floor, brace, feel it in my hamstrings, because I'm standing in the deadlift position. Try to bend the handle on the kettlebell to activate the back. And the only thing I'm going to do is put it up. 200. Let's take a look at a one-handed single hand variation, which becomes more of a row, single-handed row, which you might be familiar with. Alright, that's a good one. Let's look at the halo, and then I'm going to do a half get up. Halo, shield cast, across the ear and around, so this hand goes up in that direction. Steering it around. The kettlebell can go across my shirt. It's not a swing. And that the other direction, this hand across the other here and back. On the side, see that it comes back here, resting position, arms 90 degrees, nicely tucked in to my body. Around. If you do this, you're going to get nice, mobile, and strong shoulders, apparently. Okay, half get-ups for the core. I think you are familiar with some of the core exercises that you might try and do. First off, of course, just learn to roll along your spine. Onto a pullover where I keep lowering my back so my core braced and my back pressed against the floor. By the way, this at one point was also difficult with an 8. Now it's a bit too easy, because I can easily keep talking and breathing with my core braced in this exercise, which is a sign of progress. So that's a good thing. Now, for the one that gives me the most trouble with the Turkish get up. It's not the way up that causes me a lot of issues, by the way. It's always the way down. So, what do? We break the exercise up into some of its components, practice them individually while lying on the floor of my kitchen staring at the ceiling at 6:30 in the morning. Did I tell you the coffee machine was fixed, by the way? Still going to use my new percolator because I bought a kind of ground coffee for it, but still. To add that one to my routine for sure. Oh yeah, let me show you this one other core exercise that we learned in addition to a plank. So we're all familiar with the plank, I guess, right? The one where you lie like this. But you also plank when you do a push-up. So my instructor yesterday said, well, technically, you're wasting or losing time because a plank doesn't bring any energy into the group if you're training with a group, and you can get the plank in other exercises. So if you want some dynamism in this, I think he called it the frogger. So you sit in this position, raise your knees out and down, out and down, and don't let your knees touch the floor. Now, I would honestly only attempt that 5 or 10 times if I were able to actually do a 30-second plank, but that's just me. I think at the top of a kettlebell swing, we do planks. And learning how to hold a plank for a bit isn't necessarily detrimental. Final exercise for the day, my club bell. I'm going to do the inside circle, outside circle, shield cast, and then we're going to do a mill. So, let's see, hope you're ready. I hope I'm ready for the mill. Let's see, probably one point we're going to have to get it slightly heavier club. But that's just me. outside circle. Other arm. Shield casting it. Okay, so apparently the mill is an outside circle across the ear. As you can see, compared to last week, the learning curve is quite steep, but not good enough that I can talk to you and do the exercise properly, but it's gotten a lot better, which is fun, because that's called progress. Of course, need to work on my left coordination and strength more than on my right, but that's completely fine. And worth the time. Because it will get better with time and practice. And for my left hand, I can tell you, I definitely don't feel like I need a heavier weight. There we are, friends, 40 minutes in. It's time for coffee. Oh, 50 minutes in even. 6:36, here we are. It's been quite the morning. Thanks for dropping by and joining me this morning. Like I said, I'm your friend Toby, or my name is Toby. For those of you who've been here more often, thanks for dropping by, appreciate it. Johnny, Kristen, thanks for the questions. Joshua, thanks for dropping by and for sharing that you're in Canada. I hope you're doing all right. For anyone else who's interested in my journey, I talk about my health, fitness, longevity. I intend to be active and self-sufficient well into my centennial years, which is another 60 years of living ahead of me, I hope. I always say we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. So if you're interested in what I'm talking about life, fatherhood, fitness, career, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and join me on this journey. Let's go on an adventure together and let's see where it takes us. I train for living a fun and active and self-sufficient life. And the only way to get anything done is by showing up and doing the work. So I will see you tomorrow, but actually later today with an update for my training course. Take care, friend.